Okay,
Okay, now it's recording.
perfect. That was an adventurous start to our morning. I am sorry for the delay once again, everybody. So, let me start off by welcoming you for the third time this afternoon or this morning. My name's Cara. You've all met James. Let's just jump straight in then. I will share my screen with you now. And like I mentioned, or all of you should know from your invitations, that today's topic is engaging students when teaching online. We are going to be looking at student engagement. Over the past couple of webinars that we've done, there's been quite a few questions relating to students' attention span. How do we get students more engaged in the lessons? And that's what kind of led me and James to do a webinar on this topic. So, like I said before, I will start off with a little bit of kind of theory and bits and pieces at the beginning, and then I'll hand over to James and he's going to go through some top tips with you guys as well. So let's head in then to our very first slide. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what is student engagement? What do we mean when we're talking about engaging students? So the big thing to kind of focus on here is there is no definition. There is no exact definition. We cannot define what student engagement really is. What I've included here on the slides are three kind of statements that I found online when I was doing my research that I quite like. And let's take a look at them now. So, what is student engagement? Meaningful student involvement throughout the learning process. How involved students are with the learning process, the amount, type, and intensity of investment a student makes in their education. So, when we're talking about student engagement, yes, we want to engage our students in the online classroom, right? That's our end goal as a teacher. But we also want to engage our student, if you're looking at these kind of phrases here, in the entire learning process. We want to engage the students in their entire education. We want them to have involvement, not just be involved. We want them to have meaningful involvement. We want our students to take part in the classroom and outside of the classroom as well. If our students come and have a lesson with us and they're engaged for their 1 hour online lesson with you, and then they disappear for a week, have a great week doing all bits and pieces, whatever it is, and then come back to our classroom and are engaged for just the 1 hour of class. Yes, they're engaged for your class. The class might go really well, but if your student is only engaged in the learning process for that 1 hour of class per week, then you're going to have a very long and very slow journey with your student. So, when we're talking about student engagement, we want to think about getting the student involved in as much of the learning process as possible. So, when we're talking about student engagement and the types of engagement that students can have, we're kind of measuring it or looking at it in three different areas. The first one being behavioral or behavioral engagement. The second one is emotional or a student's emotional engagement. And the third one then is the cognitive and a student's cognitive engagement in what we're doing. So, like I said, these are the three main areas that we can kind of look and measure and analyze a student's engagement. When we're talking about behavioral engagement, we're talking about a student's participation, a student's attendance. Are they attending your classes regularly? Are they often late? Are they participating in class? Are they participating in the activities that you're giving them to do? When we're looking at the emotional side of things, we're looking at the student's interest, the student's connection with the material, but also the student's emotional connection with their peers, with their learning environment, with their teacher. right? It's natural as humans that we want people to like us naturally. So you want to develop a good relationship with your students also, and to help facilitate a good student to student relationship too. And the final one there is cognitive engagement. So this is then when we're talking about getting the student actually engaged in the learning of material. Are they invested in doing their homework, their different activities? Can they answer the Q&A, things like this? So this will help us when we're talking, and like I said, in measuring a specific student. If I'm thinking, wow, this student struggles with engagement in class, I can identify, well, what areas of engagement are these students in particular struggling with? Do I have a student who's always late to class? Is that something in their control or something outside of their control? If we have a younger student, perhaps this is a technology issue. Perhaps they have another class. If we're classroom teaching, maybe it's traffic, maybe it's parents. So then we can also think, is my student attending my lessons on time? Are they participating? Great. They have good behavioral engagement. Are they connecting well with the students, with the class environment? Are they happy? Do we get on well? Great. They are emotionally engaged. But maybe they're not grasping the material. They're not doing their homework. They can't put together the structures that we're teaching. So we're missing the cognitive engagement. So these are a really good way of helping us to analyze and to pinpoint, and as teachers, to think about how we can constantly adapt and improve students' engagement across all three of these levels. And of course, when we're looking at these things, right, no one person is the same. And sometimes people are just the way they are. So, we all have or all know that one person or one friend who is constantly late for everything. This is just a normal behavioral pattern for them. In my family, it's my aunt. If something is starting at 2 o'clock, we typically tell her it's starting at 12:30. And so these are things that we do have to keep in mind as well. And following on from this, then I wouldn't get too bogged down in the different types of engagement. Like I said, it's more just as a tool for us as teachers to just to be aware. But the biggest thing that we need to focus on and how we can tie these all together, like I said, is no two people are the same. And so that is also specific when we come to look at the types of learners that we have in our class as well. So not only are we looking at the different types of engagement within our one learner, we're then looking at the different types of learner we have in our one classroom environment. So I do want to point out here that from this diagram, yes, I have chosen a diagram that just chooses to focus on three types of learners: the audio, kinesthetic, and a visual. And the reason why I've chosen this particular one is because we can see from the graph that it highlights all of the crossovers as well. If you are doing your own kind of research, you're looking into different types of learners, you may come across one that splits the learner groups into 4 groups rather than 3. So they will have auditory, kinesthetic, visual, and maybe reading and writing as a separate learner. Sometimes they will go even further and group learners into, say, 8 different brackets. So the 4 that I've just mentioned, and then we could have a logical mathematical learner as well, somebody who is an intra or interpersonal learner as well. So there's all of these different types of learners. Like I said, for today, and just for me in general, I tend to focus on these three main ones. So let's go through them in a little bit more detail. The first one then is an auditory learner. So this is somebody who learns by listening, learns by sound. So these are typically your students in class who are quite vocal, especially sometimes when you have an online class. You may find, oh, somebody is drawing me lovely pictures on the screen. You may find that students, you may have that one student who you always hear over the microphone. They will repeat after you quite often. They may repeat the sentences, repeat words. So these are your auditory learners. Somebody who learns from sound, from music, from connecting their learning to noise. And for these students, then we want to focus, like I said, on having maybe songs, maybe music, doing a lot of repetition in class, discussion in class. You may also find that these learners will be quite willing to speak. They don't mind making a mistake, and may also be quite forthcoming with speaking out loud and doing some out loud reading as well. The next one then we're going to look at is a kinesthetic learner, or another thing we could say here would be tactile. Somebody who learns through movement, through touching. And I know this is something that has come up in questions before about students, not being able to get students to sit still in front of a laptop particularly. And in a classroom environment, sometimes, especially in ESL, it's easy to get your students up and moving about the classroom, dancing, making noises. And this is also something that we can do in an online classroom as well. We just have to be a little bit more prepared and adapt and be able to change things up for our students and adapt our teaching style to what suits them. So for these kind of learners, then maybe we can include lots of different games and activities in our classes as well. Like we said before, this also kind of ties into the TPR, connecting our learning with the movement so that we're forming all of our different road connections in our brain. And then the third one we have is a visual learner, somebody who learns from seeing. Now, these students may be the ones who are doodling pictures in the side of their notebooks or taking notes or writing lists. And these learners usually learn best from having images or diagrams, maybe infographics, something that they can visualize to help them see as they're learning. Maybe even writing on a whiteboard as well. And typically with the visual learners, it might take them a little bit longer to grasp something than an auditory or a kinesthetic learner. So we have to be aware of these things too. Like I mentioned then, the fourth or most common other type of learner that we quite often see apart from these three would be the reading writing learner. Now, we can see from this graph that there's quite a lot of crossovers as well. We can have a kinesthetic auditory learner, or a visual kinesthetic learner, or a visual auditory learner. And this is where we have the read and write. The reason why I didn't include read and write by itself is because typically reading and writing students, or students who learn the most effectively from a reading and writing, tend to be some of the easiest students to cater to in the normal education system, because this typically tends to be how most education systems are set up. You have your textbook and you have your classroom books, and you read the passages, do the exercises, do your homework, you're reading and you're writing. And typically in our classrooms anyway, whether it's in a classroom setting or online, we will have a reading and writing set material for our students to do. So like I said before, there are many different types of learners, and there are a couple of key elements that we need to think about when talking about student engagement. When we're identifying these type of learners, if you have an older student or an adult learner, then before you start your lessons, before you start your planning, whether you are somebody who is working with a online platform or group already set up, or somebody who is doing your own private lessons, you may have the opportunity to discuss with your older students and ask them, find out what type of learner they are. How do they best learn? If you're doing a one-on-one situation, a one-on-one lesson, then of course it's going to be easier to tailor your lesson to this specific type of learner and their learner style. But for the most of us, we will teach a varied classes with up to 2, 3, 4, maybe 20 students in them. And so the chances are we will have a variety of students in our classroom, a variety of learners in our classroom. And we want to make sure that we can engage all of our different learners in our classroom and keep them engaged and engaged at a behavioral and emotional and a cognitive level as well. So, I've gone through a couple of different types of learners as well as the different types of engagement that we have. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you guys. I'm going to hand over to James, and James is going to go through then some top tips about how we can constantly think about improving engagement for our students.
All right. Before I start sharing my screen, let me double check on my sound. Can everybody hear me clearly? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. So how are you today? How's everybody? Well, we apologize for the mishaps, as Kara said before, but you know how it is. When you teach online, sometimes things happen. Then you have somebody trying to hijack, the presentation. I'm not going to say who did. His name is Ahmed, but we don't want to take it against him. Nice try, Ahmed. I'm just kidding. But the important thing is that we're here and that we're here to learn. And that's all part of student engagement. Also, dealing with these little mishaps that may happen to you when you're teaching online. Technology is like that. And the best thing you can do is keep a cool head, smile and have a laugh with everybody like we did today. Right, Cara? All righty then. All right, so let me take over the presentation here. And I believe that I made my typical mistake. One second. I need to disengage my auxiliary screen of not sharing the sound. And now I'm sharing the sound. Great. Okie doke. All right. Let's get started showing. All right. So the first thing that I've always told teachers when we talk about engaging students is host your online lessons in real life scenarios. This is a great way to get everybody engaged, right? So how about if you're talking about food and you're talking about, different ingredients or cooking, why not take your laptop to the kitchen and have your class in the kitchen while you're cooking something, giving them a cooking lesson? Why don't do a mock grocery store? Take out all your stuff and, have like a little grocery store scenario sale. Um, Go to your closet, you know, take out your clothes, do like a little, role play of going shopping, a little fashion thing going on. Use your imagination. Students know that you're working from home, right? So even though it's important to have the right, background and everything, why not keep it real? Why not connect with the students? And that makes it more engaging. Students also like to learn about, our lives. If you notice in some of the webinars, it has happened that for those of you that have been with us before, my little kid, my 3-year-old kid will come and he will want to sit on my lap and say hello to everybody. And somebody was telling me, but that's not professional. Why not? It's another way to engage with students, getting them to know you a little bit, knowing that you're a human being like they are. And it keeps it a lot of fun, making it real, making it authentic, and making it relatable to the real lives. Also, there's like ongoing participation. Okay, that's one. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and even though, I have this grumpy face, is introduce characters and props to younger kids. You can use magnetic letters. They're really cool. And they actually go right on your whiteboard. If it has like a magnetic background, you can buy one of those. And it's cool to teach spelling, to teach different words to get the kids engaged. Or where did you come from? Hi, James. Hi, everybody. My name is Froggy. Why is everybody so serious today? Mm, no, they're not angry at you. They're pissed off because we started the presentation late. No, don't. No, see, now he's down. I mean, what are we gonna do with Froggy? Can everybody smile for Froggy and maybe he'll cheer up a little bit? Yeah. There we go. Now he's happy. All right. So even us as adults, what? I think they're happy now. Yeah. Well. Anyway, I like making a fool of myself. So you can use, these handheld puppets. You can use all kinds of toy animals, stuffed animals. And believe me, it makes a huge difference. Even with adults. I couldn't help notice a few of you cracked a smile. Or a few of you said, well, James, that's kind of stupid, whatever. But the important thing is that, especially when younger kids, this will engage them, You can even use little toys like, oh, here comes the airplane. Get them engaged, get them interested. Tell them to show you their toys. Talk about their toys. Talk about their belongings. So it's not only about you using props. You can get your students, especially younger students, to share with you, show and tell. And this is something that really gets him going because everybody loves to talk about their stuff, especially kids. Now, there's also flashcards, and I mean, you may say, yeah, but this is online teaching. No, you can hold the flashcards. I know Kara uses them, right? There we go. See? You can use flashcards, letter flashcards, character flashcards. Anything that is colorful and that is engaging will have kids, looking at it. We'll keep kids engaged. There you go, Kara. See? Kara's showing us some of her flashcards. And these things always come handy, and they never go out of fashion, and they're always good to have. Then, of course, you can have, different items to make noise with. Little rattlers, a whistle, some sort of like maybe even maracas, I have a whole box of stuff over here that sometimes, when I work with little children, I use them, to keep them engaged, keep the rhythm, teaching pronunciation, doing songs, doing TPR, get them to get their own little instruments, their toy little trumpet, their toy little drum. All of this stuff will really keep children engaged. With little children, you cannot simply, yap away like I'm doing with you guys right now, because the little children have the attention span of a Labrador Retriever, right? A fly will fly by, and the kid will jump on the fly, and start imagining himself, going all over the place. They have active imagination, so you have to work with that, right? Okie dokie. Now, with older students, and this is one of my favorites, host a game show with group online lessons. Now, those that have been here before and that have come to our webinars, may have seen this before, that we have shown, games and online games, but I'm seeing a whole bunch of new faces today. So let's very briefly go over this. And for those of you that have already seen this, just bear with me, all right? There are a whole bunch of games available online. And one of my favorite ones is the Family Feud, okay? Now, to go to the Family Feud, you simply go to MSN Games, right? And you search for Family Feud. If you don't have Flash enabled, you need to enable Flash. Now it's giving me an error thing over here. Give me a second. Okay, here we are. It's called the Family Feud. I like to play the classic version of the game. And the volume is going to be...
Time to play Family Feud. Let's play the Family Feud. We surveyed 100 people. The top 6 answers are on the board. Here's the question.
All right, name something that runs, but you can't catch it. Come on, guys. I'm listening to you. Your nose. Kara says no. See, now we're
A
combining her
runny
charades
nose.
with.
Survey says
Oh, no, Kara! All right, come on, guys, help me. Unmute yourselves. Let me know.
Water, 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 water.
Water, water, water.
Wow.
Top.
Survey says
Awesome. All right. Anybody else? Come on, help me. Time is running out. Time.
The tap. Oh no.
Time.
got that
Time is
answer.
running
Try
out. I
again.
said it.
Uh,
No, not time.
Patience.
sand.
Got that answer. Try again.
What is it?
That's a good
Time.
one.
What?
Time.
Patient.
Patience.
Oh, too much time.
Too much time. Too slow.
Survey says not there.
Bar.
What?
Bar.
Oh, a
Oh,
bath.
You run a bar.
Bath. B-A-T-H. Bath.
E-A,
T-H.
TH.
a bath.
Survey
Stockings.
says not there.
That's the whole thing.
Strike three. Too bad.
Excited. I
Let's
see
take a
lot
look at
of
what you missed. Let's see number 3.
Stockings.
Let's see number 4. Let's see number 5.
Ow.
Let's see number 6. Let's see how you did. Good work. You're ahead.
So that's the family feud.
Let's play some more feud.
Okay. Stop it now. Presentation. Another one of my favorites, Kahoot. We played Kahoot before.
Kahoot.
Kahoot. And for those of you that are not familiar with Kahoot, I'm going to do again. I show it in every single webinar. A lot of people are not familiar with this, but I want to show you very briefly how Kahoot works. All right. Now, Kahoot is a really awesome application. And I should have it open over here. Okay. And let me go from the start. With Kahoot, all you got to do is go to www.kahoot.com. Okay. And then you simply create a user. All you got to do is put your email and put your password that you choose, and then select free, because they give you 4 types of accounts. Select the one that is free. It has all the options, right? You have the option to go over here to where it says Kahoots. Everybody see my screen? Okay, give me a thumbs up. Yes? Okay, cool. You can simply go over here to Kahoots, and you can go to where it says Create New. Then you go to Create New Kahoot, and then you simply create your questions. Let's see, how do people feel about the issues we had today? You can make it fun like that. And we can say, not very happy. Who cares? All is good. They love us. And say what? Right? And then you simply select the one that would be the correct answer. And that's it. And then you continue adding questions. You can add any types of questions. You can add true and false if you want. Yes. And when you're done with your Kahoot, yes, you simply enter a Kahoot name, continue, and you can actually test the Kahoot to see if it's working well. Okay? And then you can see what would appear on your students' smartphones. With Kahoot, what happens is the screen that you see in purple is the screen that you will see.
Oh, you need to switch that
What
because
you
I
see
can't hear
here
you.
is what students would see. I'm going to put the.
Can't hear you.
You can hear
So,
me?
yeah, James, when you're playing the app, it overrides your voice. So whatever you're saying, I can't hear anything.
How about now?
Okay,
That
so
better?
while I can hear you, but it's when the app is playing, or when the application, or when the webinar is the web page is playing music and what have you, it overrides your voice. So I can,
Okay,
and I
so
can't, I don't have the gift of lip reading, unfortunately.
don't worry. With Kahoot, you simply click on this icon over here, so you can control the music volume. Normally, I put it down. Okay. This is what your students would see on their cell phones. All they need to do is go to www.kahoot.it, and then this will appear. They need to simply type in the game pin. They put enter. They simply put a name. I see Zion joined in on the test, and then you start the Kahoot. We're actually going to play a real Kahoot after this, right? So I need everybody to have their cell phones at hand. So how do people feel about the issues we had today? And then you have to answer on your cell phone, on the letter choice, on the color choice. For example, if you're going to answer this one, you press red, orange. So I'm going to press blue. And it tells me it's the correct answer, but Zion was faster than me, so takes the lead. Then you go next. People enjoy webinars, true or false? And and I got bit. All right. So it's very easy. Now you can also, if you don't want to, or if you don't have time to create your own Kahoots, there is a bundle of Kahoots that you can actually use. All right. So again, all you need to do is go to home over here. And then you want to scroll down and find this tab that says Discover Kahoots, okay? And then you find any type of Kahoot that you want to look at. We're going to look for online English teaching. And then you'll find literally hundreds of Kahoots that have been already created, yes, by other teachers. And it's really, really, really cool, all right? I could even look for a Kahoot about engaging online students. And guess what? We have a whole bunch of Kahoots that talk about, engaging learning students. So we're going to play this one, all of us. So I want you guys to have your cell phones at hand, please. Okay. Those of you that want to play, of course. Don't cheat. Don't look at the questions because students will not be able to see this. When you go into play the Kahoot, you simply press on play. Then you can play teach, or you can assign the Kahoot as a homework. How cool is that? You press teach. The Kahoot will load. I always like to play the classic, or you can play team mode if you have like different students with only one device. And then you can access the game either on your cell phone. Hold on, let me put music down. You can access the game either on your cell phone or on a laptop or computer. All you need to do is go to www.kahoot.it. And then when you're there, you're going to see that screen that says enter pin. You enter this pin, enter your name. You enter your name, and we have Niels, we have Stormy Boy, we have Mary Alex. Mary Alex, you're back. Cool. Zine, Alan, good. All right, I'm going to give you time to join in another minute or so for those of you that may want to join in after. Anybody else? Costa, there we go. So it's really cool and it's very agile, and there's no limit on players, right? Doesn't matter how many students you have online. We have right now a whole bunch of people, with us on this webinar. We have 30 participants, and if all 30 want to play, all 30 can play. Okay, we'll give it one more minute. Tessie, good. Ronaldo. Awesome. Okay. Johan, good. Now remember, you have to be very quick on the draw, but careful how you answer because sometimes it's a combination of both. So it's really fun and it's exciting. Okay, I'm going to start the game now. Everybody ready? PH. Okay, cool. Keep an eye on both screens. So you'll see the answer choices defined by colors, and you need to press the correct color on your cell phones. And going once, going twice, and here we go. Okay, it is important to create a learning space. True or false? Okay. Wow. Very good. But Costa takes the lead. We have Tessie on second place, and we have Mary Alex in third place, and it's a very, very close race because PH is tied on the third place and Zion on the fourth place, like the presidential election right now. All right, in creating a learning space, which is important? We're waiting for one person to answer. There we go. All of the above. See, that's why you can't jump the gun. Zion is at the lead. Ronaldo is right behind, and Mary Alex is on third place. Excuse me, I have allergies today. Finding and connecting to online resources describe. All right. The answer was connectivism. Why? Because, I mean, the name said Lily. Lily took the lead out of nowhere. Wow. Awesome, Lily. Learning achieved through interaction and collaboration describes this. Think of Piaget. There we go. Jean Piaget, Vygotsky is constructivism. Alan just took the lead. Wow. See how the game works? I mean, you never know. But Mary Alex is on fire. She has had 4 correct answers in a row. 2 examples of engaging the stakeholders and students are. Awesome. Both 1 and 3. Alan, still the lead. Mary Alex, right behind. In creating a flexible learning environment, you cannot use existing projects. True or false? I mean, that's an easy one, actually. Okay, we need one more person to answer. There we go. It's false. I mean, we're proving that wrong because we're using, existing resources right now. In a flexible learning environments, you'll find some typos and mistakes on these things, by the way. Students can the answer was choose colors and help with the design. Alan's still in the lead. Lily right behind. What happened to Mary Alex? Oh my God, she got bumped back. Meeting students' needs are not important in flexible learning environments. True or false? Correct. You have to meet your students' needs, right? 2 more questions. Alan, you're on fire. In a flexible learning environment, lesson plans are, well, I mean, it's like a dead giveaway. flexible. I mean, the name says it all. Okay, question number 9. Rational and collaborative learning describes this.
Engagement.
Come on, guys. Very good. Engagement. And it's a typo, of course. Remember that these things are designed by other teachers, so you may want to check first. But it's okay. So we have a winner. Congratulations, Alan. And we have Zain. Is that correct, Zain or Zin? How do you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
Zine.
Zin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
No
apologize.
problem.
And we have Lily on the 3rd place. So what do you guys think? I mean, those of you that have never played this thing is a lot of fun. You have, I mean, a whole bunch of topics that you can choose from. And this is a great way to start a class, by the way, or to evaluate students at the end of the class by making a little bit fun competition. This thing is, I mean, suitable for anyone from children to grandpas. You know, I play this with my mom. I mean, sometimes when she's depressed, just to have fun. All right? Okay. Back to the presentation it is. Okay, so that's pretty much, I mean, just 2 examples of many, many, many games. And we had a webinar that we did with Kara regarding, you know, online games, and you can find them on our webpage. And let me show to those of you that are not familiar with this. All you need to do is go to YouTube. Okay. And once in YouTube, you're going to type in Global TEFL. And when you see our logo, you're going to click on Global TEFL. And you go to videos. And you have all of our webinars here. Okay. And we did one recently about, you know, online teaching TEFL games. And let's see what we have here.
And activities when teaching online. And we're going to talk about.
And at some point, you know, some, you know, older fat guy.
Because, okay, me.
And that would be me. So you're invited. And then you can choose 1 point, 2 points. Go to this particular webinar and you'll find a whole bunch of games, you know, with access to the web pages and whatnot. Or if you're interested in other topics, we've done just about every kind of webinar you can possibly imagine. This one in particular is to get you set up if you've never taught online, and feel free to browse to them, have fun, fast forward the parts that you don't like, and so on and so after. Okay? All right, cool. Okie dokie, that's so much for games. Now let's talk about incorporating collaborative learning. And what does that mean? It means that we live in a world where in the liberal, you know, space, we talk about synergy, we talk about collaboration. So wouldn't it make sense to create this culture in our kids? I mean, working together, doing all kinds of different activities, all kinds of projects. I mean, you can, for example, work with video diaries and logs. You can work with group projects, or one of my favorite ones, you can do web quests. Are you guys familiar with web quests? Raise your hands if you are. No? Let me see. No? Nobody's familiar with web quest? Great. If you're not, then that means I'm not going to bore you to death. A web quest is an activity that you can assign to your students to do for homework or for fun project. And like the name says it, it involves researching. It involves going to web pages. It's like a treasure hunt online. And it requires for students to work as part of a team or as part, you know, of a group. Now, I'm going to show you, sorry, it's not this one. I had it ready here, 1 second. Okay, I got it right here. You want to go to webquest.org. Take a moment to write this down, those of you that are not familiar. Okay? Just like it sounds, webquest.org. Okay, okay? All righty then. Once you're here, you're going to go to Find Web Quests. You can actually create them, but you can simply go to Find Web Quests. It's completely free, and then search the Quest Garden database. Now, you can select these things by two ways. You can select it by a subject. Let's say we're going to select, language arts. And I can actually select the grade level. Let's say I'm going to work with 3rd to 5th graders, and I search. And it's going to give me literally thousands of hits, okay, of different web quests and activities. It's taking a little while because I did a general search. Okay, let's give it a moment. And it's making me look bad. Okay, let's look for a more specific search, okay? Let's look for a language. By the way, if you teach in other languages, web quests are available in Catalan, Dutch, French, German, Hebrew, Portuguese, and Spanish, right? And give me a subject, anybody, first person to unmute themselves. Give me any subject or any topic.
My pets. My pets.
Pets? All right. And then you search. No web quest found. Sorry. Okay. We need to look for something else.
Elections. Feelings.
Animals. When it's taking long to load, it means that it's finding literally thousands of hits, Okay, here we go. Now, if you notice, you see all these numbers? Every one of these numbers is a full page of web quests. This is only page 1 on domestic animals, right? So let's look for something all about my animal. This web quest will choose and find some traits about an animal or animal classification, animal habits.
Sorry, is this for, because I know the grades in the UK and the US are completely different. Is this US based?
It's international. I mean, but normally you can make the conversion. If you know,
okay, sure.
3rd to 5th graders, then you can figure it out, around the age group that we're looking for. But
thank you.
Usually when it goes, from when it says if it says K2, that's kindergarten, and it's pretty much the same. If it says 9 to 12, that's upper secondary, right? Then you have college adult. I mean, you even have these things for adults. Let's look at this one. Recognize and respond to domestic and family violence. No. What animal would you be? That might be a fun one. Every single web quest is going to have an introduction, a task, a process, and it even includes the links that the children will visit, to carry out the project. And it includes the evaluation, very complete rubrics. Let me show you another one. So you can see that new animal for the zoo, for example, see? They all have the same sequence. You have, in groups of 2, students will research an animal, compile information, collect pictures, design an exhibit, and create a presentation about an interesting animal, and then present it at a zoo fair. That's fun.
What's the teacher page?
What do you mean by the teacher page?
Well, it says teacher page here at the bottom as an option. I can see teacher. So you've got 2, 4,
Oh yeah,
6.
you can actually. Where do you see teacher page? I'm sorry.
Well, I've got teacher page here. Is that the one that we're actually on? So it's got introduction, task, process, evaluation, conclusion, credits, teacher
credits.
Right. Teacher page is the teacher that created this web quest.
Right. Okay, that's what it means.
That
Right,
means that you can visit that teacher's page and see.
Understood.
This teacher has other projects and whatnot.
Okay.
It'll explain to you the process. It says, first start by exploring a few different websites and find an interesting animal that you want to see at the zoo. And the actual sites are already included for the children to visit. National Geographic, Kids Biology, San Diego Zoo, Ranger Ray Kids, etc., 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 and so on and so after, right? And then it explains to you the process, okay? And then how you as a teacher will evaluate, the end result and what the students.
Oh, this is a good one.
This is an awesome one. And, when I was introduced to this, like 10 years ago, I was surprised that I had never heard about this. And these things are basically limitless. You can find any topic that you could possibly want. Somebody had mentioned the elections, right? Look, election time, presidential election. It says students will use the skills they learn in computer class to start a campaign as if they were running for president. Okay. You have the task, presidential campaign. This is an individual activity. So you have group activities, individual activities, per work activities, and so on and so on. Okay. I could spend all day showing you here, but we need to advance on the presentation. So remember, what you want to do is simply go to webquest.org. Then just simply search the Quest Garden database and have a ball. I mean, you'll be there for hours finding resources. And students love these things. Children, teenagers, and adults alike. All right?
It's for free, right?
Totally free, 100% free. Remember that every single resource that we show in our webinars are free resources. Okay? We never share paid resources.
Oh, that's great.
All right. Also, I mean, another great way to get your students is get them to practice in the real world. Now, what does that mean? Well, older students can do case studies or research on subjects that have already been studied or have happened or have a precedent. And then, you can work on critical and analytical thinking skills. And then this is another cool, way of doing work projects. And actually, you can simply go to webquest.org and type in case studies, and you'll find thousands of them, all right? You can do group projects, not only WebQuest, but you can have, students do research projects, presentations together, create some sort of like online fair and whatnot. And of course, all of these will require them to gather and analyze, data on the internet. But it's always important that you do this with a very careful process of guiding them. You don't want them to stray, in the internet, there's a lot of run paths to follow. So you got to make sure that, like in the web quests, it's always advisable to provide your students with the web pages they should visit and they should research, all right? And if you don't have time to create your own, again, web quests. Yeah, I know. Now, why are you seeing this? Well, you can encourage your students to create different things. They can create video diaries and logs. A lot of students love doing that. I have a couple of students that are Trekkies. That means that, incredibly enough, I was a Trekkie when I was younger. That means that I'm a fan of Star Trek. And they actually dress up they dress up in the Federation uniforms and they go, Stardate 2117.7 supplemental. Captain's log, and why not? They love doing this role play, and I love doing role play. I love playing around. And then you can have also students do infographics, and there's a whole bunch of web pages to create infographics. And what is an infographic? It's a visual tool for you to do presentations, to share information, to do oral presentations. Not everything is PowerPoint. Okay, you can have your students do memes. There's a whole bunch of applications, right? And these ones I thought were kind of cute. Get those reports to me, right now. And then this one, the cap pulled me over and said papers, and I handed him the toilet paper. Little memes like that. And then students can explain to you why they created them, or they can create GIFs, which are basically, generated images or generate image format. And you'll be surprised. Teenagers are awesome at this. My teenage daughter, she's 17, and she does things with animation that I have no idea to this day. And she goes, Daddy, but it's very easy. I'm like, yeah, for you. But so give your students the chance to be creative. They love doing all of this stuff. And this is a way to get students engaged, to talk about who they are, what they like, what they enjoy. And trust me, you're going to see students like Elaine, right? I always get it wrong. She's like this. She's very attentive.
Eliane.
Eliane. Oh, I never get it. Okay. Students like Eliane, or I have a student here listed as user. You were the one that got the first answer correct. What's your name, by the way? So.
Got the correct answer?
What's your name? So we can
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Okay, so we got Lindsay very engaged. And that's how you know that you're doing a good job, and basically keeping it real, keep them engaged. But the most important thing, guys, and this is something that I've always talked to you about in all of my webinars, so has Kara, is let your students feel your passion for teaching. You know, if you see me over here doing this webinar, like, okay, guys, today we're going to talk about engaging students, and like many webinars that you see, I'm going to start putting some PowerPoints with long texts, and I'm just going to read with this voice. How do you expect your students to be engaged? You need to smile. You need to be passionate about this. You need to enjoy. You need to have a lot of fun. I look forward to this every single Saturday. So does Kara, and then we anticipate and we plan, and we met on Thursday. How are we gonna do this, and this and that and cool, and we're going to organize this thing. And I mean, remember that as teachers, you facilitate thinking, you engage minds, you listen to questions, you encourage risk, you support struggle, you cultivate dreams, but most importantly, you learn every day. That means that you teach. It's like an anecdote that I told many of you before. It's sort of like it's not a joke. It's like a humor story where you have a doctor, a politician, right, a lawyer, and a teacher at a cocktail party. And the lawyer is saying, well, I mean, I don't want to talk about what I make, but last year, it went pretty well. So I make about $500,000 a year. And then the doctor's smiling. He goes, yeah, well, I'm a plastic surgeon. I mean, I make $1.2 million a year. The politician says, oh, that's peanuts, man. That's candy money. I make between $5-6 million a year. And then they all looked at the teacher and they said, well, we don't want to make you feel bad because you're a teacher, but we don't want to exclude you from the presentation. Teacher is smiling, and looking at them like, So what do you make? Teacher looks at them and he says, gentlemen, I make a difference. And he walks away. And there's no price on the difference that we make on our students. When I was in 9th grade, I was dyslexic. I didn't know that I had dyslexia. Everybody told me that I was stupid, that I was dumb, that I was this, that I was that. And I was about to drop out from school and be swallowed by the streets of New York. I almost got caught, in gangs activities and all this and then this teacher, Miss Turoff, and I always like to mention her because I love that woman to death and I kept in touch with her until she passed, recently. She grabbed me and she was a tough one, English teacher. And she showed so much passion, so much belief, and gave me so much caring. And then she had me tested. She did whatever had to be done, with the Board of Education. They found out that I was dyslexic. And not only that I was dyslexic, but that I had an extremely unusual high IQ. Imagine that. And then she made me discover my passion for writing. And if that woman had not intervened in my life, I would not be here with you guys today. I would be in prison, dead, or worse.
They say that students remember the teacher as opposed to the subject that's being taught, and the passion for the subject comes from the person who teaches it.
Yes, and it's rewarding, and you'll notice it. Look, 2 months ago, we hired a couple of consultants to do some re-engineering in our company. And when the experts came in, these two ladies come in, and I'm like, welcome, my name is, and before I said my name is, one of them jumped at my neck. James Bonilla. She gives me a kiss, and I'm like, lady, I'm married. I know I'm, but I was nervous. I was like, what's this? She goes, you don't remember me? I'm like, no, I'm Carolina. You were my homeroom teacher in 9th and 10th and 11th grades. That was 26 years ago. She's married with children in school right now. And to have that reaction, I actually had a knot in my throat, and I actually keep my yearbooks here in the office. And we came up to my office and we looked at the yearbook and I found it. And I was like, oh! So these are the things, okay? This is the why we do what we do. That's the reward. And as long as you show that passion and that love and that connection and that caring, students will be engaged. Students will keep coming back. Students will remember you. And never, never, never give up. Especially on those students that seem to be, hopeless. I was one of those guys, and you never know what diamond, and I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything. I'm sorry, but You never know what diamond might be in the rough, you know. Now I train teachers around the world. Who would have thought that? When teachers said that I was a stupid kid and that I had no potential, that I had no future. Figure that. Teaching is not my job, guys. Teaching is my passion. Make it your passion. Your students will always be engaged.